Good morning and welcome to the Celtic Way Sit Down. I'm Tony Haggerty and no prizes for guessing who my guest is. If you're a Celtic supporter or Celtic vintage, this guy needs no introduction, but I'm going to give him the big one anyway. It is none other than Paul Lambert, Champions League winner with Borussia Dortmund in 1997, Paul, yes?
That's it, Tony, yeah.
1997, treble winner with Celtic, and a member of the side that reached Seville in 2003 under Martin O'Neill, and just one of the most gifted midfielders uh, of his generation. 40 caps for Scotland, one goal. Played for St Mirren, played for Motherwell, played for Dortmund, played for Celtic, played for Livingston, and he's also managed in his career. He's managed Ipswich, he's managed Norwich. Paul Wickham, you tell me, Paul, how many teams you've managed?
Colchester, Stoke, Villa, Wolves, Blackburn. Yeah,
Indeed, the list goes on. There's nothing that this man hasn't done in the game. I give you the one and only Paul Lambert. And Paul Lambert is here today to do something which I did last Sunday with Ryan, and that's to talk me through the Celtic moments that made him. And Paul's going to talk me through 5 moments that made him, and we're going to do it in reverse order. But first and foremost, Paul, a big Celtic Way sit down welcome to you. You're no stranger to this, but I always love having you on. How are you, sir?
I'm all right. I'm good, Tony. You?
Yeah, I'm fine. You
Good.
certainly look in better shape than me. We were talking off air, and I said you could look as if you could still play. And you're telling me you're keeping yourself ticking over, yeah?
Oh, I do, no, yeah. There's always a great thing. It's like nobody can ever outrun a football. So
Uh,
if you can't run anymore, make sure you can try and pass it.
you are no bad in that. You are no slouch in the passing department, sir. I'll
Yeah.
give you that. Yeah. And also, I forgot to mention, you won 4 titles. You won 2 Scottish Cups and 2 League Cups at Celtic. And also, you're one of the men who stopped to 10, the mother of all titles. We have spoken about this before. And yeah, that was an amazing feat of achievement, that, Paul, wasn't it?
Oh, the 10 in a row was obviously that was the hardest one. That was the
Yeah.
hardest one to win, and not just because of the the euphoria that was surrounding it. It was a Rangers team you were up against, and if you look back in that Rangers team, that was the
Yeah.
strongest Rangers team, Tony, that I'd played against. The Gaza and Andy Rome, God rest him, and Goffey and Ian Ferguson and Coisty and people like that. They were all Stuart McCall. Some of my Scotland teammates were great guys, but my God, they were a right good side as well.
It's arguably the greatest Rangers team in history. People who've got a memory and can go back to the
Mm.
early 60s with Brandon Baxter and guys like that. But I think you're right, Paul. It's arguably the greatest Rangers team in history. And success wise, it will show that they are the greatest Rangers team in history. So,
I think I mean, the Rangers, was it 72 team that won the Cup, Winners' Cup?
yeah,
All them guys, I mean, that's probably the pinnacle of Rangers because they've done it in a European term.
yeah,
And they're probably like the equivalent of the Lions, probably wasn't as good as the Lions because what the Lions have done with the European Cup. But you've
yeah,
got to give the Rangers lads a lot of respect for what they done in the area. So they two teams will probably go as the greatest Celtic team, the greatest Rangers team. That
yeah,
era that I played against were weren't far away from
yeah,
European glory themselves. So when you look at that, you think that era and what they had and the players that they had, and they were a right good side. So what we done that, gee, I mean, dear, oh dear, Vim Janssen, I've always said it was a miracle what he done
yeah.
with it, an absolute miracle how he performed that and how he kept everybody's feet in the ground and take them on, which. And that's why I always say it was the hardest title for us. For me, just other guys might tell you differently, but for me, it was the hardest one.
I think my father will tell you that as well. Paul, his hero was Jock Stein, and I felt I was going to lose him that season because he was just so uptight and so wound
Yeah,
up. And
yeah,
yeah, but he's still here. Thankfully, he's still season ticket, still watching. But there you go. Now
yeah.
we'll count down your moments, Paul. We'll start with your fifth. We're going in reverse order: 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So take it
Mhm.
away, sir.
I've said that the fifth. I've had that many good moments right enough at Celtic. I think when you look at the fifth one going down the way, I would say the people might be surprised. I'd probably say Seville. And the reason I say Seville because we lost it.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest regret in my Celtic career, or any football career, or my own football career, was that's the biggest regret. There's no winning that. Because it would always been great to have won 2 European titles with 2 different clubs. And we just fell short. And I know that people say, well, that should be one of your top 3 sort of thing. Well, when you lose it, it doesn't become anything special. But you can't throw Seville in, and or you can't have Seville not been in there because it's such an incredible journey that was. But you know, the funny thing of that was we expected to be in the mix with these sort of things, with these sort of titles. We expected it because I think we recognised that we were right top side.
Yeah.
We were right top side at that time. So it wasn't like, oh, it's a shock we are there sort of thing. I just thought that era, that team could have took many on.
Well, they did take many on, didn't they? They held their own against everybody. Lots of heavyweights came to Celtic Park and left with nothing. And I'm not, you're talking about every top team in Europe came to Celtic Park around about that time and were left empty-handed, didn't they? Because you guys did go toe-to-toe with them.
That was it, and it was like in that time it was UEFA Cup was difficult because it was knockout stages. There wasn't a group. It wasn't a group stage, and it was the home and away goals rule was still playing. That I liked the home and away goal rule because it put you on the back foot if you lost one at home and you think we need to get something away from home here. And so we look at that. It was a difficult thing to do, but going all the way with Blackburns and Liverpools and Celtic Vigos and teams like that. And the worst game that we played probably was Boavista at home.
The semi.
It was a terrible game. It was a terrible game, terrible thing for us. And then obviously we get the result away from home. So, and then the final was what it was. We get beat by a team that I thought was really good. We're a really good team. I know people can talk about their antics and that, but we'd have done the same. If we were running 3-2, the ball's miles behind our goal, I'm pretty sure we wouldn't be running for it. We'd be walking and diving around and things like that. So you got to hold your hand up and say that probably we just never clicked on that night with it. That's why I put that in the kind of top 5. Albeit it was a great journey, but to lose it.
Do you think Celtic just had the misfortune, Paul, of meeting a team who were on an upwards trajectory as well as a manager? Because obviously Porto won the Champions League the next season. You talked about how good a team they were. They were an excellent side.
Yeah.
But I think, as you say, there was maybe an expectancy about Celtic that they could actually win that, but maybe didn't realise how good a team that they actually were. Because they were loaded with quality, weren't they?
Oh, they were. Listen, Tony, they were a top side, and you're right what you're saying. The following year they go and win the Champions League. I mean, they just don't win the final; they demolish it.
Yeah.
Against Monaco. So when you look at that, you think, okay, we lost a great side, great manager coming through the ranks at that time, and Josie, and but we took a brilliant. We knew we would take it. We knew we had more fans in Porto.
Yeah.
We knew that was going to happen. It doesn't matter where Celtic play. They're one of the biggest clubs in the world because it's an institution. It's massive. It's a huge club all about the world. Celtic fans are everywhere. Porto and other teams don't have it. They don't have that fan base, and that's where I think that everybody thought, yeah, we're going to get it. But the downside of that is you're playing against a right top side who'd have known how to play against a big crowd, with a manager there who psychologically would have got in their heads of don't matter what they've got there or whatever, but we're close to it, really, really close to it.
You've played 2 European finals, Paul, and I've always said this: losing's not an equation, is it? It's just you just don't. And I've said this too, that if somebody turns around to me and says Celtic would reach a Champions League final in my lifetime, I'd need to be guaranteed a result. I couldn't get through losing again.
Tony, you're right. You don't get remembered for There's nothing there. There's nothing.
Yeah.
All you've got there is a memory saying, I played in that final. But realistically, when you look back on it, it doesn't really mean anything because there's nothing there. It's only a medal you have that you played in the game or whatever. You've actually got to win it to say, well, yeah. And it would have been unbelievable for that group of lads to have done it.
And you said to me before as well, at that moment in time in European football, there was only two European trophies up for grabs, the Champions League and the UEFA Cup.
Yeah.
And that regret that you have is that it would have been nice to own a set of winners' medal from both tournaments, wouldn't it? You know?
That would have been that. That would have been that. It would have been great, especially coming from a small country, which is our own. And unfortunately, I'm probably in good company with guys that have done it, and I've done it probably the harder way.
You won the hardest one.
Sort of thing. So to do it with a foreign team was extra special. You know what I mean? To do it with a foreign team and fitting in with the German lads that became good friends and things like that was incredible. And to actually get in the team and play was even better. So, but I think when you come from Scotland, there's always that tendency you'd have wanted to done something in your own country.
Yeah.
Before it's finished, and I'm glad I've done that. But not glad I lost the final, but I'm glad I've come back and yeah, you're probably doing a wee bit in history because of the 10 in a row thing.
Yeah, as you say, and you've often said to me as well that at Celtic Park there should be more kind of reference to that in terms of Wim Jansen as well.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. And sometimes I think that passed by his clubs. There's been clubs that have been all over Europe, and I've seen things away back in my day, going away back to the 70s, to the Cruyffs, the Beckenbauers, all that, and you see things all in their clubs and things like that, and it's brilliant for people my age looking at that and seeing things like that. You think, wow. But what you've got now is what you guys are doing now. You have podcasts, you have social media, you have who make players great, who aren't great, because they want to have that limelight of a media thing. Whereas you go back to their days and you think, yeah, you tip your hat off them because you know that what they've done was incredible. But the clubs don't forget it. That's a great thing.
I've often thought there could be a museum inside Celtic Park to that title win alone, Paul. Basically,
because
because it was so special and it was such a moment, as you said there. You know,
the best one. I wish he was still alive. Written up was the manager, Wim.
Yeah,
if he was still alive, he would tell you how he done it and how he actually felt probably through that season. We were just pawns in the chessboard, and he moved you around and kept everything on. But deep down, being a manager myself, he must have had some things going on in his head the night before games or the day of games and things like that. But 100%, I don't care what anybody said, it was the hardest title to win for him. And probably for us as guys.
And as you say, it's great that we can still remember it through yourself. But I don't think any Celtic supporter will ever forget what Wim Jansen did. Those that lived through it, and those that will be told the story for centuries and years to come,
So I don't listen. Any of the Celtic player, I've got utmost respect. I know how tough it is to play there. And I know what it's like, but I would say that the treble winning team that I played in, the Seville team, even the guys that done invincible things, all them sort of guys that deserve great credit for what they've done. That title was a catalyst for Celtic to win things again.
Yep.
And that title was the hardest, the pressure, the hardest Rangers team. That, for me, that title there gave Celtic the feeling of we can win things again. It gave the support, the feeling how to win again. Because the great Celtic teams in the past, and arguably, I think I always call him probably the greatest Celtic midfielder in my generation, Paul McStay. Can he win a title in that wee spread of time of 6 10 in a row? And Paul probably deserved that for what he done. Peter Grant, people like that, brilliant guys, we couldn't do it. And you look at that, you think it don't matter about the Invincibles, my treble winning team, the treble winning team in Angie's era, don't matter. Because what happened in 97 or 98 gave the catalyst. Because the reason I say that is because the 10 in a row still have Rangers, it will still be in Rangers' courtyard. They'd have had it.
Yeah.
The great lines that they've gone, they're diminished, like the guys, Jock Staines, they're diminished that. If Rangers had got the 10 in a row. That's why I always say that was the hardest. But that's my opinion, so.
Yeah. Well, you were preserving a piece of history, weren't you?
Yeah, that's it, exactly.
In the process, basically. So
that was it. And the great Stein,
no pressure.
Right, that's it. And then when you win it, you've got to go and try and win it again. But
I know.
it stopped it stopped the whole thing of it, and it stopped the whole, as you said there, the nonsense of what was going to happen or what could have happened. But it gave Celtic Football Club the feeling of winning again. That's what it gave them.
Now that was number 5, which was Seville.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, Paul. What's your fourth?
I would say the treble year.
2000, 2001.
Yeah, it was a brilliant thing of what we've done. But I said we were in an era where we expected that.
Yeah.
We knew we were a good side. We knew we had a lot of strength there. We knew we could score. We knew we could defend. We probably did a bit of everything there at that time. The defence was rock solid at that time. Then we had the midfield, obviously, in there, and then the lads up front. We did a bit of everything, really. We could
you had a calibre of player, Paul, that could mix it. Could go
we could mix it, yeah.
with anybody, and you talked about the defence, Bobo, Valharan, Mialbi, yourself, Lennon, Petrov, in the midfield, Alan Thompson, up front, the King of Kings, John Hartson, Chris Sutton.
Yeah.
I mean, that team, they're just so fondly remembered. With Martin O'Neill, John Robertson, and Steve Walford as well at the helm, those three amigos that it was just such a brilliant management team. It just seemed to work, didn't it? There was a coming together of everything, and even guys that came in just settled in, and the guys were bought for big prices back then, spent a lot of money, and but they just seemed to fit into what everything Martin wanted.
Yeah, well, I think when you look back and when Martin came in, we were a mess really, and finishing the league 21 points behind Rangers was not acceptable. And Martin came in, but we needed a manager like him. Yeah. We needed somebody to grab it, and we needed somebody to play a bit of hardball ways. And
Benchmark became the football lexicon, Paul. Yeah.
What's that?
Benchmark entered the football lexicon, wasn't it? That Rangers were the benchmark.
Aye, and all he done was put pressure on Rangers with that phrase. So, but we knew what was happening, and I think what Martin, and I'd probably say he inherited some really good, inherited some top players, and what he done really well was he added to it. He didn't bring guys who were going to be squad players. He added to it to make us better, and I think that's the way it kind of went. And then all of a sudden, really, really quickly, put a team together. It was bang. I knew he'd play 3 at the back when he came because he'd done it at Leicester. I think with Big Matty Elliott and Steve Walsh, I think was at the back, and I can't remember who else, but I'm sure Martin played the 3 at the back at Leicester. And Wally and Robbo coming up with a brilliant 3 together. They were brilliant. And people used to say Martin O'Neill never done tactics. Top players knew how to play, Tony. They knew how to play, knew where to go. Martin would tell us what to do. It wasn't if he just came in here and people thought, well, he just read it, a team great and motivated. It was more than that. It was really good. Wally was great, and Robbo was a brilliant sidekick for him. So when you look at the dynamic of it worked brilliantly. It worked. But Martin you knew if you never played well what was going to happen. You knew if you played well equally so, you knew it was going to happen. But he never treated us like kids and say, oh, you do this and you do that, you do this. We knew how to play the game. And we know every opponent we're going to play against, what was going to happen, what they were like. But he just had that knack of getting the best out of you.
You've often said to me that top players do know how to play the game. Top managers keep their instructions simple.
No, there's very.
That's how it works. That's how teams are successful. My old man used to say, "You can't put 4 gallon in 2 gallon heads." You know what I mean? So,
that's exactly that. That's exactly that. Martin was the same. Otmar Hitzfeld was the same. who's arguably the greatest manager. Vim was the same. Never really said much. Just they knew where to put you, knew what to do. Good players. It's funny. I was talking to David Hay the other week, and we're talking about I think management and that, and he made a good statement. Sometimes if there's a fire and you've no water to put it out, you're in trouble. And I thought that was kind of true. That, and he said talked about his time at Celtic. He said big jockey, brilliant players, Paul. And I thought he said that's what he's about, good players. And he was 100% right, David. You know, he was 100% right.
Yes.
Anybody to be good players, then the game becomes a bit easier. If they're good guys and good players, you've got a really good chance.
Yeah, a wonderful man, David Hay, as well.
Brilliant. Absolutely.
Great guy. You could listen to him all day talking about football, couldn't you?
Aye, great. And it's good. What a player he was as well.
Yeah.
So we look at that.
Yeah. Oh, he was, and he came from a great era, didn't he?
Yeah, he
as
did.
well.
He did.
But that season, Paul, you destroy Rangers 6-2, the kind of demolition derby, the statement win, call it what you like, after Martin's kind of made the benchmark comment. Did you guys feel after that, or did you expect, not so much expect to do that, but I mean, you're 3 up in 11 minutes, you score the third goal, and I mean, the place is, and I think Larsson missed a chance right after, didn't he? For 4-0. I think it was a 1-1. And like you're talking about, could have been 4-0 after 15 minutes, and I mean, it was just one-way traffic, wasn't it, that day?
It was incredible that game. The atmosphere that day was incredible. But there does seem to be a surge. I think come to us that day. Obviously, City signed and Jos was there. I'm trying to think of the midfield. That was it Marcel, Stillian.
Petter played as well, didn't he?
Bobby played. Bobby was really good that day.
Yeah.
Didier, I think Didier. We had a really strong. I think Sutty and Henrik were up front.
Yeah,
and we did. We got off to an absolute flyer, and the atmosphere of that was incredible that day. And I think that put. I want to say it was a catalyst us winning the league or anything like that, but it put a marker down that Celtic were going to be strong that season. Liverpool played as well.
That's right, we did. Yeah.
That day. So when you look at that, kind of tied up, the Celtic team is going to be strong this year, and it was powerful. But as I said before, at the bit of everything, it could mix it. If it wanted to have a fight, it would have a fight. If it wanted to play nice, it would play nice. If it wanted to be physical, it could do it, because it's just the way the lads were. They had that mentality. But we trained the same way, Tony. We trained the way we played. It never relented. It never went down a level. And if people messed about, they get told, you can do it right, sort of thing, you know. Do the training right. Wally, honestly, Wally, Robbo, Martin, I could count one hand between the three of them if they ever raised their voices at us, because they knew what kind of team they had.
You said as well, their top players just know what to do, so it becomes habit forming, doesn't it? And nobody needs to tell you when you played badly. You often say that to me. And you came from a dressing room in Germany where you know these were top players. You fitted in.
Yeah.
You bring that mentality. But I think dressing rooms are top players. That is what you get, isn't it?
Oh, you do.
And that bar is set so high.
You do,
that it's only spoken about when you fall below it.
Oh, it's funny because I was doing one of these things before, and people asked me, like, when I grew up at St Mirren, I seen things at St Mirren that you would never ever repeat ever, never. And I saw incredible fights in the dressing room. I saw incredible things in the dressing room. And I was 15 when I made my debut in a way back, and you know what? I would never ever have changed it, because it was a making of me. Grown up the right way, and I played with some big Jimmy Stewart, Ian Scanlon, Frank McAvaney, Billy Abercrombie, Derek Hamilton, Jimmy Rooney, Peter Mackey, Gardner Spears, Dan Gallagher. Unbelievable time. Tony Fitzpatrick. Unbelievable time. Frank McGarvey, God rest him. And I would never have changed that, because you're talking about the dressing rooms. I seen it in that dressing room growing up.
Yeah.
What professional football was, and what the way it was going. And it gave you a a great grounding, and I would never ever. Alec Muller was a match with Martin Ferguson and Drew Jarvie. Peter Weir, people like that I played with, and you forget, and you think Tommy Wilson, Neil Cooper, you think, dear, oh dear, Campbell Money, proper pros that even someone at that time were probably top 4 or 5 kind of.
Yeah.
At that time, and dear, oh dear, they could. You knew you were in a dressing room when they lost, and that gave you kind of grounding of Jimmy Bone, gave you a grounding of, is this professional football? And your mum used to go home with mum and dad, I stayed with mum and dad. How was training? Great. I think that was I've said, because you can never tell them what actually happened in the dressing room. So they were like, what's going on? But yeah, I've seen some unbelievable things, but it would never change.
As you say, those formative years, that's probably the best and most wonderful education that you can get, Paul, that prepares you for a lot that comes at you in later life.
1,000,000%. And that's what gave me I think that's what gave me, in football, you're going to have to earn it. It's not going to be given to me in a plate, and it's not going to give me a nice life if I don't work for it. As soon as I took my eye off the ball, I would lose, or took my eye off or my finger off the pulse, you wouldn't have success. But that dressing room certainly gave me an upbringing of you're going to work damn hard here. And again, I was also winning the Scottish Cup with St Mirren when I was 17, so that gave me the catalyst of, this is professional football. The hobby stopped when I became a pro at 15. It was not a hobby anymore, it became a job. And that's why I always viewed it. It was a job. Like, this ain't a hobby anymore. I'm going to have to earn this. And like anything, you have the peaks and the troughs of it. But St Mirren definitely gave me a grounding of that I could handle most things. Yeah.
And the peak of that season being the treble, 2000-2001.
Yeah.
You defeat Rangers in the League Cup semi. You beat Kilmarnock in the final of that.
Yeah.
And then you go on and lift the Scottish Cup against Hibs. It just capped off a memorable season, didn't it, Paul?
Well, yeah,
everything came together, just wonderfully so.
Because semi-final against Rangers, I think I was at Hampden, and I'm sure that was the one that the pitch was terrible that night. It was like a mud bath. And was that the game we beat them 3-1, 3-0?
3-1, yeah, 3-1. Yeah.
And
Henrik lobbed Klaus.
Yeah, that's right.
Bob Malcolm fell.
That's right. That's the one. And we knew if we played to our potential in the final, with no disrespect to Kilmarnock, who were a decent team at that time, we'd beat them. I don't think Kilmarnock were going to stop us. And it was the same with Hibs in the final. They were never going to win that day. Never. Don't care who. They could have had 22 players on their team. They would never beaten. Because Celtic had the momentum at that time. It was too. But again, it was expected. It was totally expected to go and win finals, and that's exactly what kind of happened.
And it was the first treble since Jock Stein's days, Paul. So it was a kind of major milestone for the club. People say trebles are easy, but they most certainly ain't.
No, I always, as I said, you respect every era that you see or what you play in. That era, the Celtic era, was powerful. And that, you're right what you're saying. If the only treble since Jock's era, then dear, it's incredible, an incredible time, especially the opposition we had, because Rangers were a good side.
Yeah. So that was number 4. Number 3, Paul?
So number 3, I'm going to go. This is a game I'm going to give you, which I love. You know what? This goes against every bit of grain that I'm going to. I've just told you. Was we played Valencia at Parkhead, and the noise that night was unbelievable, and we got beaten penalties.
You won 1-0, didn't you?
Yeah, and they were a brilliant side. They were brilliant. They had a right good side, and there's a couple of memories with that. I thought we were brilliant that night, and we obviously lost. God, Henry missed a penalty. I don't know how he actually missed a penalty and he shoot it. You think, bloody hell. And then Jos had two chances.
That's right.
He missed his first one, he missed his second one, I think. And but that night we were brilliant. I remember taking it because Martin says, "Who wants to take a penalty?" I said, "I'll hit one." I think I hit the first one. Need Canizares in goals.
That's right. Canizares, a great goalkeeper, wasn't
Aye, yeah. And it's the first time I ever encountered a goalkeeper jumping about in his line, sort of thing. I forget this. And he was jumping about like a maniac. I thought, let's just pick a side and go for it. And I put it in the top corner. It went in. And it's funny because I got a letter a couple of days after. It's a young school, I think it was a schoolgirl. And she said, "Hi, Mr. Lambert, thanks very much for scoring because I said to my parents, if Paul Lambert scores his penalty, I'm going to get my A levels or something like that." So she said, "I want to thank you very much for scoring the penalty." I thought, and that always sticks in my brain, that
Wow.
that letter. And but that game, because they were a brilliant side, brilliant side. I
They
mean,
were an excellent side, aye.
they beat us 1-0 over on the Mestalla. I tell you, and it could have been about 12.
Big Rab was sensational that night, wasn't he?
We defend. I don't think we were. Jesus, we've been too many times we crossed that halfway line because they came at us. They were all over the place. They were flying at us. Like, Jesus, they were brilliant, and we got away with a 1-0 defeat there. And we thought that's a team, that's a proper side. And they were great. And then the role reversed it at Parkhead, which always seemed to be the thing. With Parkhead, always seemed to be that teams couldn't handle the atmosphere there. And we got the result, and then went to penalties, and then we lost it. And one of the best goal scorers in Europe that time missed his penalty. Thought, oh Jesus, and then you said it, and then these sort of things. I thought that was an unbelievable moment. But again, that was another. I don't know what round that was. But that was one of the. I think they went on to win it that year.
I think they did, yeah.
I think they went on to win it, Valencia. And I just thought that's a proper side as well at that time. You know, it was just a brilliant game, that.
Because they'd lost 2 Champions League finals back to back, hadn't they, prior to playing
Bayern game.
Celtic. Bayern beat them, and also Real Madrid when
That's
McManaman
right.
scored
So they did,
the
yeah.
scissors volley. So I think it was Hector Cooper's side, wasn't it?
I think it.
It
Do you know what?
was Hector Cooper's side when they played in the Champions League finals. I'm not sure if he was still there when they played Celtic, but they were a top team.
Do you know what I thought? For some reason, I've got Benitez in my head when we played them.
Right,
I know
okay.
Hector Cooper. You're right.
He was the Champions League manager, but they were a brilliant team, weren't they?
Oh, for heaven's sake, they were a right good side. They had that left back, Cabrini.
Yes.
Left back. It was 40. And he was a flying winger, and oh dear, they were. I think there was that game. Another game that kind of stood out was Ajax away.
Yes.
When we beat them, and that gave us this team could be a special team, because that to go over there and do what we done to them was an unbelievable performance. Because they were a good side as well. They were a right top side as well. Ajax, you know.
Yeah, and you were in a sticker twist situation at home, weren't you?
Aye, dangerous.
3-1 up, which was, you know,
aye.
And then they scored and
1-0
and kind of like go.
No, they were
on edge.
Top side, yeah. They were a top side. They kind of 2 games kind of always stayed with me of. Yeah, the European scene could be really good here.
Because those are 2 names with a real class European pedigree.
Yeah.
Paul, Valencia and Ajax, you know, from the past. They are names to conjure with from the past in terms of their European experience and how good at teams that they had. I mean, I remember as a kid growing up seeing Valencia beat Arsenal in the Winners' Cup final and penalties with Bonoff playing, you know, in Kempis, I think.
Yeah.
Were in their team, you know. So they're names from the past, you know, and obviously the great Ajax side. So you know, and I watched Celtic draw with Ajax at home and then beat them away, George McCluskey 82, that kind of thing, you know. So these are names you'd grown up with as a kid, so you knew all about them, you know.
That was a great thing, I think, that time. You can go back. I mean, Rainer Bonoff, I mean, you're talking about world class footballers. In a own right, you know, you've got Kempis.
You know.
You're talking about proper players. that took kicks and knocks and everything that and could play the game. So when you look at that, you think, but you're playing against clubs that are you're right like a proper pedigree of
Yeah,
these are top teams you're up against. And Celtic that I think came a long way in a short space of time
yeah,
under Martin, and he was putting them back on the map, the European map, because domestically we knew Rangers were the ones that we had. If we beat Rangers more times than not, you'd win the league. But Europe, I think, was the one that everybody wanted to try and make a mark in. Well, where can we go with it?
yeah. I mean, and things as well that there just seemed to be no fear whenever anybody came to Celtic Park. Any European
No.
opposition, Milan, Juventus,
Mm.
Bayern Munich, you name it, Celtic just get steamed in.
It was. That's what it was like. It, there was no. There was no inferior against any team or any individual. There
No
was none of that.
complex about it. Yeah,
There was none of that. It didn't matter who was in the tunnel beside you. There was none. Where, listen, you'd have the stronger headed lads more. Everybody's a different individual. Ones will be quiet, ones will be vocal, ones will be no problem. Let's take care of this one, whatever. But there was never any like inferior complex of
yeah.
who we were up against. That didn't matter to you, And
I remember back when you played Leon and David Pleat was the co-commentator for ITV. I think it was Chris Sutton's goal. And David Pleat marvelled about it because there was, I can't remember how many passes there were, but it was over 20, maybe even going into the 30s. And David Pleat said, you will not see a final European goal for a long time. He was talking about in terms of the possession and the way it was executed in the end up. And if you get the footage of that, I'd love to hear what Pleat said about it again because he marvelled about it, because Celtic took the ball and, I think it was a set goal. I think it was Chris Sutton's header because Liam Miller got the first day. God rest him. And Pleat, David Pleat was like waxing lyrical, and he was saying he was like waxing lyrical about the that night when the noise was incredible, and Leon were a great side then.
They were, yeah. They top players. They were another right top side at that time, and I think I just felt Celtic at that point was on the cusp of really, really going really well in the Champions League. We just fell short in that one. If you win every home game, you're just going to pick up I always say 6 points can take you through in the Tony.
I was going to say there is no many teams will exit the Champions League on 9 points in any group stage in this day and age.
No,
so that's the calibre that you were playing against of team.
Yeah,
9 still couldn't take you through.
Yeah, when I won it with Dortmund, we finished second on 13. 13 points. Atletico beat us on goal difference. They get 13. We finished second when we get 13. And that's us finishing second. Whereas you're right, you see teams finishing 6, 7 points. Whereas we can get through 9, which is incredible. Incredible. And now if that happened, if you get 9 points, you think, yeah, well, they're going through.
Yeah, that was Martin's meltdown, wasn't it, in Turin with Amoroso?
That was a disgrace. Listen, when you get older and the dust is settled, you think, fair play. We get done with him playing the game the way he did play it. Was it a penalty? No, it was never a penalty. In the last minute, last second of the game, you think, if you get a draw in Turin, you think, well, we've got a hell of a result there away from home. But obviously,
coming from 2 down as well.
Yeah, that's right. So you think we'll take a draw here, and it's a brilliant point for us, and it gives us the catalyst to try and go through. And obviously, he gave the penalty, which was never a penalty.
Yeah, we'll leave that one there. I think Martin said it all at the time, didn't he?
That's it, yeah.
Shocking being the buzzword.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, it was.
That was number 3. Number 2, Paul.
2. I would say. Do you know what I'm going to say my goal against Rangers in '98.
New Year game.
Yeah.
what's become known as the Lambert and Burley game, even though it was Burley and Lambert.
Aye, it's not because the significance.
That was your first goal
That,
for Celtic, wasn't it?
yeah, yeah. And do you know what? It's funny because I actually scored a better goal the following week against Motherwell. It was for a further distance out. It was, I mean, I just hit that one and it flew in. It was miles out, and it was a better goal. But it's like anything, it pales in significance because it's Motherwell and it wasn't Rangers. Whereas the Rangers game was a catalyst for winning the league.
Yeah,
And for winning the title.
without a doubt.
I think if Craig's goal had won that 1-0, you'd have took that hands down. Because I think if Rangers had won that, they'd have won the league. We wouldn't have pulled that back. And I think the old firm goal that one, it's amazing because 20 odd years later, I saw people sometimes come up and talk to me about is the goal against Rangers '98. I was right behind it, or was this or that, and the noise that day, and you think, yeah. Whereas to me, it was a game we had to win. It was the goal gave me, people can remember it or whatever they want to do with it, but the game was the most important thing that we had to win, and to do it at that point, at that time, at that particular fixture, New Year, their team, that was a massive must win. There's no grey area with that one. That's all thing I can say. You couldn't draw it, you couldn't lose it.
Yeah.
you had to win.
And also as well, you mentioned him earlier. He was a world-class goalkeeper at times, wasn't he, Andy Gorham?
Oh, for heaven's sake, dear, dear. I mean, when all the madness stops and you retire and you look back and you think, dear, I played with Andy with the national thing. I played against him. I seen before he even joined Celtic. I think everybody would say Tommy Burns would have won the title if Andy wasn't in goals.
Yep. He even said it himself, didn't he?
Aye.
The carrot and my
Yeah, and that's
Andy Gorham broke my heart, you know.
Aye, and God rest the two of them, they're not here. But and I love Tommy Burns. He's I love him to death. Funny guy, great storyteller, great singer. He's a brilliant guy. And the sad, and Andy only knew a wee bit for the national team, but the goals that he saved Rangers was absolutely ridiculous. What he could do, but I knew when that one had left my foot, I knew that was going in. I could see it. It was bending away from him. He was never going to get it.
I was nowhere near it, to be fair. But
No. There had to be something like that, Tony, against him.
I was going to say that's what it take to beat him most of the time, you know. Something special. Because even the first goal was brilliantly worked. Jackie's pass is just so underrated. His reverse pass to Burley's just so underrated, isn't it? It's not spoken about enough. It's overshadowed by your screamer. But
if you look at Jackie's, you're right, Jackie's pass, he reverses it brilliant. You know what I mean? And Craig scores, but Craig's won as well in the corner. I think they've got a right good chance. But again, against a really good Rangers side who they were strong. They were a strong side physically and mentally, a strong side. But whether Walter told Rangers that Lazio was leaving, it wouldn't have made a difference to the players. Celtic deserved to win the title that year.
Yeah, and as you say, that was the catalyst that won the title. That was the one where they got a head up of steam, wasn't it? After that, and they realised this is a right good Rangers outfit. We've just beaten them convincingly. We can go and do this now.
I think that was the catalyst of we can take them. Yeah, we're going to need a bit of luck along the way at certain points of that season, but it brought them back into us. You know what I mean? The points gap, I think, became maybe one or two at that point. And I think I mean, I could be wrong here. I don't think Celtic lost many games from that game on. I think they might have only been beat once, and it was by them.
Aye, Ibrox when Jonas Tern scored a cracker.
Yeah, he scored a belter that day as well. So I think the form Celtic showed for that day with the run-in was really high at that particular point. So that moment was huge for the club as a whole. It was huge, you know.
You ran to the supporters because it's no in your kind of football makeup to score screamers.
Yeah.
You just kind of ran to where the old jungle would have been, the big stand and all that. And
That's
just
right.
Do you remember doing that, or was it just wow? What do I do?
I know. I remember the goal. I remember because I remember the bounce of the ball. I thought
Yeah,
this is. I need to hit this because it's only got one bounce on it. And I thought, and I knew it was on the up. I knew the ball was on the up with the rise, and I knew I had to cut across it. If I had it straight, I think Andy would have saved it. If I had it with my instep, it wouldn't have went anywhere. So I had to cut across it so I could get the spin on it. And as soon as I left my foot, I thought it's going in because I could see it. I was right behind it, and then the euphoria starts with that. But I knew how important that was for Celtic that
yeah,
night, and I knew we had to be bang on our game that night to beat them. But just because of what they were and who they were, and the power they had, because they were a big strong side. So I knew the importance of it, and I knew after that game that was the game where we thought we can get this.
Well, that was number 2. So number 1 must be special, Paul. I had it in my head. I thought that may have been your number 1, but there you go. What do I
No,
know?
I'm going to go. I'm going to. There's that many good moments. I'm going to say the last day of the season when we won it, the 10 in a row,
10.
the St Johnstone game.
Ah,
Because the build up to that game was horrendous. That because on Thursday we trained at Parkhead and we were terrible. You should have seen us. We were terrible, and there was a lot of infighting with the guys on the training pitch. And I'll forget this. And we were training at Parkhead, and it was that bad. And lads were starting to put the kind of boot into each other, because it was getting overheated. And I'll forget Vim, and Vim blew his whistle, and he just says, "Everybody go home." We only trained for about 20 minutes on the Thursday. He said, "Everybody go home." He said, "You're not ready to win a title. You're not ready. Come back tomorrow, be ready for Saturday." We came back on Friday and the training went sky high. It was buzzing, it was flying, it was passing, great. And the Saturday, we knew the importance of it. I mean, New Rangers were winning because there was no noise for the crowd. And Henrik scoring that day probably gave everybody the big kind of thank God moment of we're 1-0 up, can't lose it. And then they have a great chance. I think Gildy makes a great save. And George O'Boyle missed a really great chance for them with a header. And then Harold puts icing on the cake. And as soon as that happened, I think the whole relief just went for everybody. And that's why I say that was probably my favourite moment. For a lot of things, just because the crowd, the history of the club, the Lions, the 10 in a row thing, which I'm pretty sure there have been DVDs still getting made that I would if they're still in existence, DVDs. So the whole thing, forget just winning a title, the whole thing, it was the legacy of the Lions, which I think you've got to preserve being a Celtic player. Because unless another Celtic team won the Champions League, that will always be known as the greatest ever Celtic team, rightly so. And it'll never be done again. 11 guys from a radius of whatever, 30 miles, whatever, Scottish. It'll never be done again.
The Glasgow District Select, as Marco Vanni said, the European Cup of the Glasgow District Select. Great line.
And you're talking about, I mean, I met a lot of them, with Jimmy Johnston, just brilliant guys. Bertie, that's great storytellers, and the greatest respect for them. And even Jim Craig, who's still alive, thank God, I still say hello to him that when I go back up the road. This brilliant.
They're world class players, Paul, but they're also world class people.
That's it. That's it. And I'm not including people like Danny McGrain and Roy Aitken, massive legends at the club there that quite rightly so should be revered. But when you look at that game, defending all the guys because of what they'd done before in the past, and I wouldn't have wanted to be part of a Celtic team where you lost to 10 in a row, because you wouldn't have just been lost 10 in a row. You maybe have lost a wee bit of respect from them because of what it was, and what they had done for the club and the legacy that they'd put it on the map, really.
You mentioned them in passing, but I have to ask you, the King of Kings, unbelievable. 242 goals in 315 games. What a phenomenon and what a player. Paul, and I know you got on well with him. You were
Yeah,
good pals, weren't you, when you were at Celtic? Probably still are good pals.
yeah.
But
I
an
tell
amazing
you,
footballer, and people of my generation say he's the best footballer that they've seen
yeah.
at Celtic. That's
Listen,
so subjective, isn't it? So
yeah. Listen, I, I'm trying. I forget Henrik as a player, as a person. Me and him going really well, and uh, I think the business Vim again that seems to get brushed under the carpet. Vim Janssen got him for a steal.
650 grand.
Yeah, yeah, and could have probably sold Fort Knox to try and get him now. You know what I mean? To try and buy him. But you look at that, and I always found with Henrik, he had a great temperament for the game. By that brilliant thing, people pass by now. A great work ethic.
Yeah,
It wasn't just a natural. I'll get me and I'll score. His work ethic was brilliant. He would chase and he would harry, he would close down, he would do all the ugly stuff as well. It always just had a feeling every time Henry had a chance he would score. And that's what gave us the thing of I always felt that way Riedler and Sharpie Muller. Every time you got a chance, I thought it's a goal. And see when you play with the title players, you think
yeah,
brilliant. And last time was up there in that caliber of this guy.
striker. Yeah,
This
yeah.
guy can score at any moment. Headers, left foot, right foot. We had a great understanding with it on the field. I think we had a lot of respect for each other because of the way we were. And listen, you can talk about the Celtic current strikers that have came there since Henry. They're nowhere near them. Forget it. You can't even put them in the same category as them.
Yeah,
Forget it. You can have comparisons, and you can have all right different eras and all that, and say this guy in this current could he do. Listen, Henry done it in Europe.
yeah,
He done it. The great thing I always think, if you can date another country, he done it in Spain, he done it in Manchester, he also done it up in Scotland. He won the Champions League, he played World Cups, he done it in every stage he was on. And I'm talking about when you go to different countries to play, it's tough because number one, you've got the language to cope with, you've got a different culture, you've got different players to try and get on with. But he done it in different eras, but you respect all the strikers that Celtic have had. They won't come anywhere near.
yeah.
Yes, won't come anywhere near them. Even people at City and that, they were different. Big John and that. I don't think any. For all the brilliant strikers in their own era, I don't think you can touch them three guys.
He's aptly named, isn't he? The King of Kings.
You weren't going to. I just don't know who would take him off his pairs at that in that era. You
Yeah,
had
in
great
that era, yeah.
strikers like Celtic were unbelievable. Kenny,
Kenny Dalglish is probably I think in terms of strikers and players, I would say Kenny Dalglish and Henrik Larsson are 10 out of 10 players who
they
come
were
who
probably
come along
yeah,
once in a jet. They're generational players, and I would
yeah,
say Kenny Dalglish is a 10 out of 10 player,
yeah,
without a shadow of a doubt. And
yeah.
Henrik Larsson, I would say, was a 10 out of 10 player as well. Just
I think that's where you look at it. I think you look at that. People, I mean, we Junkie get voted the greatest ever Celtic player,
yeah,
rightly so,
yeah,
because I mean, even the footage I see, we Junkie, I mean, Jesus Christ, how do you get near him?
yeah.
You don't get near him. You can go
He,
through Betty Hall, Bobby Murdoch, all the Davy Hayes, John Clark, Big Billy, greatest ever captain yet, Billy Neal without a doubt. If I went in my generation, my era, and just my opinion, Paul McStay is probably the greatest midfielder that Celtic, in my opinion, have had on that side there.
it's funny
Betty
because
now, class.
you mentioned four players there: Kenny, Larsson, McStay, and Jinky.
Mm-hmm.
Jinky voted as the greatest player. All four of them, Paul, were in the greatest Celtic 11.
Aye,
So
uh,
that tells you all you need
yeah,
to know, doesn't it?
of course it does.
As voted for by
Aye,
supporters, and
yeah,
yeah, Jinky was somebody who, and
yeah,
he was a. Well, although my father could say Jinky could blow hot and cold, but I think the greatest accolade is that if you're voted the greatest ever Celtic player by the supporters, then
Yeah, yeah.
you're a 10 out of 10 player, aren't you?
And you don't do it that wee guy done. And that's why I said the different eras, don't I?
Yeah, of course.
The tackles in Jinky were throat height,
Ah,
and
frightening, eh?
were legal. So it just bend back up and go again, go again, go again in the pitch.
Yeah,
It's everybody says all you can do is have an opinion. You can never compare an era because
yeah,
it's
yeah,
different eras. Everybody can have an opinion, but looking at footage and all these sort of things, the great thing about wee Jinky was when he used to come in, it was like one of you sort of thing. He
yeah.
never changed, you know what I mean? He was always
Oh,
like dead nice, dead humble. He thought, nah, he's top guy. But all the lines were like that, you know what I mean? There was never really any looking
I've
down on you or anything like that. They were all top lads.
I've often said of everything that Jinky won and all the success that he had and everything that he did and the wonderful player that he was, I think that accolade would have meant the most to him. To be in the greatest Celtic
Yeah,
ever 11 and to be voted the greatest Celtic player ever by the people that he cared about most. As you say there, he was the most humble of guys and he was just, as you say, a Celtic supporter. And I
yeah,
think that would have meant the world to him on that night at the Hydro when he was voted
yeah,
the player, and he, you could just tell he was kind of stuck for words. He just kind of looked around and choked
yeah,
back tears and all that. And I think most people in the audience would have choked back tears as well, or would have been in
yeah.
tears because he was a special footballer. There's no doubt
Well,
about that.
listen, listen. I'm forced. I get voted into the Scottish Hall of Fame. I get voted into the Celtic Hall of Fame, and the accolades are brilliant because then you think, yeah, you look back and that's why I always say if you can do something in your own country, it's a great thing. But people like that, the jinking people like that won the highest honour there, will it ever be done again?
Nah,
You, you,
you
can never, you never ever
never
see
say never.
a, you never ever see a Scottish group of lads doing it. Never,
No,
never. Not 11 guys again. That'll never. Would you get a Scottish team winning the Champions League? Maybe you just don't know what's going to happen or where it's going to go. Football with finances involved in it, but the, the
I'm
club
the
is
eternal dreamer and the eternal optimist, Paul, and I always believe it's going to happen, but realism kicks in at times, you know what I mean? But I still allow myself to dream.
it's the financial aspect that's way,
Yeah,
way, way, way blowing everything out the water. But globally and size wise, there's no many top three clubs in the world. The pressure of it, arguably, yeah, yeah. I remember going down to Ryan Giggs' testimonial, and Giggs and Boydie, Tommy Boyd had the greatest testimonials ever. Man United came up and played us, and we went down to Man United to play them for Giggs's and Boydie's. Man United beat us, I think, up at Boydie's 2-0. We beat them 4-3 at Old Trafford. And the Celtic fans that night off down at Old Trafford honestly, it was unbelievable. It was brilliant. But they go everywhere.
yeah.
That's the great thing about them. And that's why it's a unique. You put Celtic in the Premier League, give them a few years to find their feet, give them the same finances, they'll dwarf most things down there without a shadow of a doubt.
I've often said they'd win it within five years,
Yeah.
and they
You
could
give them the
even
same finances, yeah. Yeah.
they could even go close in the Champions League,
Yeah,
possibly possibly even win it.
and you'd have to build another tier on their stadium. Honestly, you would. You would.
That's
You,
I agree with
you,
that.
you'd have to do it, and your season tickets would fly out the roof because what the Premier League offers. Without a shit, it's the people that are riding them that don't realise what Celtic is.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
have to play there. You have to play there, and you have to know what the pressure is to think this is not an easy club to play for. But if you have success, it can be brilliant.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think you'll all agree that's been a wonderful hour in the company of a man who hates me when I say he's a legend, but he is a legend, and
Uh,
he downplays it in all his achievements. But as I said at the top of the programme, one of the most gifted midfielders of his generation. And Paul, that's been outstanding. Thank you for
no
talking
problem.
me through it. Your top 5 Celtic moments. I think lots of people would agree with them. Some wonderful memories there. I could talk about these things all day, especially with someone like yourself. But if you've enjoyed this video, guys, log on to the Celtic Way, because we endeavour to provide top quality football journalism covering the club you love. You can see running along the strap line. You subscribe to the Celtic Way website. Hit that button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. That's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Paul, you've been the first guest on the 5 Celtic moments that made me. We're hoping it becomes a regular feature, but I tell you what, I loved it. Thank you so much for your company and your time.
Pleasure, no problem.